Hello and good day, I'm Mike Adcock with your Worldwide Tropical Outlook for today, 16 July 2013. Our brief time today here is 10 o'clock Zulu. Tracking a tropical depression just east of the Philippines. This is labeled as Depression 08W by JTWC and Isang by Pagasa in the Philippines. JMA at 9 o'clock Zulu is placed the center of circulation 315 kilometers east-northeast of Manila. Winds are 30 gust 45 knots, and it is moving to the north-northwest at 8 knots. Pressure 1002 hectopascal. Do have several provinces listed there under Signal 1, which is 45 to 60 kilometer per hour winds in the next 36 hours. That was issued by Pagasa and pretty much covers a majority of northern Luzon. And taking a look at the MSI imagery, do have a consolidated low-level circulation with this system. Much improved deep convection now, banding forming up quite nicely. Still in the infant stages of development, but we've moved on from where we were yesterday, from a system just transitioning from a cusp to a cyclone to now this is a full-fledged cyclone starting to approach storm strength. Here is the JMA forecast on the depression, continuing it in a northwesterly fashion along the southwest edge of the subtropical ridge. Right now expecting this to become a tropical storm in the next 24 hours, and there are a lot of indications that that's going to be sooner rather than later. And if that is the case, it will be named Cimarron, which is comes from Philippine wild ox. Now the forecast track is going to be quite a challenge here. Landfall is going to be our biggest challenge. As you can see here, a brush with northeastern Luzon in a couple days, looking for a impact somewhere in Taiwan is possible, and then again in eastern China. On the other hand, waters are going to be still very warm, very favorable shear environments in the near term anyways. So some strengthening is, quite likely in the near term. This isn't going to be a long-term effect. Don't expect a typhoon out of this system, especially after like the day 4 mark. This system starts to run into quite a bit of shear with all the land interaction. This system would then be absorbed by the monsoon boundary. Like I said, it is being tracked by Pagasa as Isang. There's the track forecast there. See it going over a little bit more of northeastern Luzon. However, their later term forecast later on this week has it missing or just brushing the southwestern coast of Taiwan. And then again, a JTWC, similar track, not as far west, at least for the Luzon impact and then that in turn has them making landfall in Taiwan. Peak gust here, or peak winds, 50 knots gusting to 65, and that's going to be just prior to landfall in Taiwan there. I do want to read you an excerpt from JTWC's forecast discussion from earlier, and I think that really captures the challenges with this system, especially in terms of the models. And they say the dynamic model guidance remains widely spread with differences in the orientation of the subtropical ridge and the intensity of the system. The Japanese global model and the UK Met model continue to hold the system too weak, while the NavGem tracks the system further west and south at a weakened state. GFS and its ensemble mean the H-Wharf track. All these tracks tracks the system along the eastern coast of Taiwan and towards South Korea in the extended forecast. So, due to the large spread, JTWC has gone with the multi-model consistence and have just identified this as a low confidence forecast, and kind of showing you or illustrating you what we're talking about here. This is the 0Z model data that we were able to get from NCAR. Just a wide envelope of where this storm could go after the 48-hour mark. Will it go well west of Taiwan? Will it go east? A lot of questions to be determined. And in turn, really the intensity forecast is going to be pretty much as challenging, and that's going to be due to how much time is it going to spend over water? Is it going to affect Luzon? Is it going to affect Taiwan? Is it going to affect, or when is it going to affect China? So Tropical storm strength is likely, like I said, with the amount of warm water out there and the lack of shear, should reach at least minimal tropical storm strength. Will it get to severe tropical storm strength? Unlikely. Typhoon status? Very unlikely. So that being said, let's turn our attention to Dvorak, and really all the agencies are talking about the same thing, T1.5 from all three. And what they're tracking on is about a 3/10 wrap along log 10. The only outlier there, or one note I should say, is National Weather Service did weaken the storm. They brought it up to a 2.0 earlier with a 4/10 wrap. Now they're just looking at a 3 and change, so going with 1.5. But the big outlier is the automated Dvorak technique. That system is going with a T2.7, which equates to roughly 39 knots using a 1 minute sustained wind scale. That seems a little bit excessive, but you know, it is getting there. Like I said, I would not be too surprised to see this upgraded as a tropical storm in the next 6 to 12 hours. And why I'm saying that is, taking a look at OSCAT imagery, we do have, you know, some wind barbs southeast of the center of circulation, indicating 35 to 40 knot winds. Same thing here in this banding well off to the northeast, looking at some 35 knot winds with that. So tropical storm force winds, there are some indications there. Once it gets a little bit better satellite, satellite appearance, I think we're going to see that upgrade. Again, waters are plenty warm, sitting at about 29 to 30 degrees. I do want to mention, though, at least in the later part of the forecast, do have a lot cooler waters, or a little bit cooler water, still enough to support tropical storm as we get closer to Taiwan, and that's associated with the wake from Typhoon Solik last week. 200 millibars. Do have the Tut cell to the north of the system, again enhancing the outflow. Generally looking at northeasterly winds across the Philippines, save for those southwesterly winds on the southeast side of the Tut, and that's just helping diffluence aloft with that system. For shear tendencies, again, shear has decreased, but right now looking at about 5 to 10 knots over the system, and as that storm continues to track up toward Taiwan, that's when we start getting into the increasing shear, and definitely if the land isn't killing it, the shear definitely will, looking at 40 to 50 knots by the time it makes landfall in China, and should quickly get absorbed by the monsoon boundary there. So that rounds up today's outlook. Again, thank you for tuning in. Have a great day and take care.